Tom Segura is here.
Yes, he is.
And it's nice that you get to see the incompetence that encompasses our show.
Yes.
It's all about the West Coast, dude. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
You should have stayed in New York.
It's not. This isn't our spot.
That's right.
This is the West Coast is rejecting us.
We just want to branch out.
Yeah. Well, and how much do you love the weather here? Let's talk about weather, guys.
Oh, it's delightful. We just wanted to prove that we weren't one coast ponies. We wanted to come over here and just conquer.
Yeah, we're gonna conquer the West Coast. Not gonna happen.
Bombing miserably.
Happening. Don't you want to move here now?
You think so? Yeah. It was so fun, and I had never even thought of this, but Jim had all these great observations yesterday about the wacky people and the traffic.
The traffic is terrible.
Oh, so you are local. You know.
Wait till it rains.
They don't drive well, right? They don't drive well?
Oh, it's a disaster.
Wow, this is all the LA insight that you get only this week.
Man, every first 2-year comic is like, what's going on? Fucking rain. No, everyone's falling apart. And then they think it's like the original bit.
Do they really do that?
Of course.
Oh.
Like, especially because most people are transplants. So it's like everyone's like, I just got here. What's going on with this rain? Everyone just freaked out because it drizzled, and then you think like it's a.
You've made this great observation.
Sharp observation.
Yeah, you kind of really coming in and telling LA about itself, and people are like, oh, this guy doesn't take any prisoners.
And then you're like, 3 years in, and you're like, I just saw 40 guys do that bit.
Right.
Should probably drop that.
Where'd you move from?
I moved from. Actually, I was working in D.C. and it was 6 months after college, and moved out here, and then started stand up about 4 months later in 2002.
So what'd you move out here for?
I thought I was going to be. I thought I would be a comedic actor. So I heard about the Groundlings and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll do that, and then I'll do SNL next year. And then,
Did you do the Groundlings? You join?
Yeah. Well, I did
audition?
the school. I did the school.
Right.
I did probably 3 levels, and then there's Writing Lab is before Sunday Company.
Yeah.
What they call it. And when they invited me for that, I had already started stand-up. And it was just one of those things where they call you twice. And if you turn it down twice, they don't call you again.
Do you have to re-audition if you want to go?
I think so.
And what's the space in between the calls?
I feel like I got a call probably like at end of summer, and then they probably called me 3 or 4 months later and like, hey, you want to do Writing Lab? And I just felt like it was interfering with that point with stand-up.
Because you actually liked stand-up.
I liked it, and I was, I didn't want to have something happen where I would have to turn down stand-up.
Yeah. So at that point, like when you started doing stand-up, did you kind of give up on your, I'm going to do Groundlings, and then next year I'll do SNL? And
I just figured, they'll probably come to my show and pick me out of there.
So you were still like, I'll definitely still be on SNL.
Some movie producer will come to this.
Yeah, no problem.
Like, do you regret it? Star? No, I don't regret it. But I do feel like, oh man, it still would be fun to do.
Sure.
To do
not SNL. I don't feel like I'm an SNL guy, but to do like TV movies, I think that would be fun.
Could you pump out the kind of volume of shit they do on SNL? Like I mean, just of product. Like it's sketch after sketch after.
Yeah.
I could never create.
Dude, when I went to,
I also feel like that's such a just like stand up is a muscle. Like when you're in the clubs and you're doing it all the time, you're touring, especially like when you're touring. You see touring comics and they're like usually a different level of stand-up because they just work it that much.
And in front of different audiences.
Yeah, in front of, those really hardcore sketch people are on another level of producing sketches.
I went to the dress rehearsal a couple weeks ago for SNL.
Yeah.
And it really drove home the content aspect of it, because not only do they have to do a show every week, but they're writing 5 times as much for every show. Even by the time they get to dress rehearsal, 2 hours before the show airs.
So much is tossed.
Yeah, there's at least 3 skits that don't make television.
And you probably can't even go back and reuse them. You figure like, man, we could reuse that one. And I mean, they must change them up a little bit and repitch.
Yeah.
I'd be fucking recycling the same shit week after
Would
week.
you?
Yes.
What I heard too is like people go, it's that thing where you go, I'll save this joke for later.
Yeah.
And they said like you learn that there's no such thing. You throw everything in while you can.
Right.
Because I remember out here, everyone is a script writer,
Yeah.
And there's so many guys who are like, I'm going to use that in a script. And then after a few years, like, no, you're not. You don't even finish fucking scripts.
Right. Because every good idea you have, you just put it into this thing of like, this is my saved ideas notebook.
I mean, I know guys that are like 12 years into a script.
Have you written any?
I have written a couple pilots that I sold one, and I've written a couple feature lengths, but I didn't sell them.
Did you? And what was the feature length that you wrote? What was the general gist of it?
Well, the first one was about a boxing trainer and a cut man. So it was based on a short film that Ryan Sickler is a comic we wrote together. It's called Cut Man, and it's basically a couple of.
I had one about a ladies' man, but the title was spelled slightly differently.
This was like a couple of like off the wall trainer, because that world of boxing is so corrupt and everything. So this was like a trainer that like beats people, with chairs, and then and his gym was going to close. It was taken over by the trainer from the other side of town who used to be middleweight champion of the world. And the cut man is like they're always like weird dudes, like cut men. So this cut man, like, he would put like shrimp over your ears to heal your just weird shit. It was a goofy comedy. Yeah.
Now was Bundini a cut man or no? Was he Ali's cut man or no? No.
I don't know.
What did Bundini do? He was part of Ali's team. I don't remember.
I don't think he was his cut man. No.
No, there's a bar in New York, which I've actually been in. It's where Raging Bull shot the last. Remember when De Niro was doing stand-up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, where's the toilet? He said, you're in it. It's like the best bad stand-up ever.
Yeah.
And that's a bar where they have you walk in there and there's like stuff with Sugar Ray Robinson and there's all this great, great boxing history. And they said it was owned by like Ali's Cutman's grandson now or something like that. But his Cutman originally owned that.
Yeah, those dudes are like, Cutmen are a rare breed, man. I mean, they are.
Where'd you get to know about them or of them or
well,
them?
The cut man idea was Sickler and I were just like stand-ups watching, we just hung out a lot.
Yeah.
And he was always watching, HBO boxing and all the big fights. And he goes, we should do something. I want to play a cut man. He's like, because look at these, like, dude had like 38 pins on him, like a teenage girl would at a fucking pop show or something.
Right.
And like they were just obscure, like weird dudes.
What was on the pins? They were like button pins, or they had
like flare.
Like dudes would wear flare,
Yeah.
and they have like just quirky. They were quirky. They had quirky personalities and story. And like boxing is such a fucking weird sport where like it's just full of corruption.
Right.
So that we thought was a rich place to go for a comedy.
What was the first time you saw? The first time I ever heard of a cut man was like most people in Rocky. You got to cut me, Mick. That's the first time I ever knew that they actually did that.
Yeah.
Was that 76 where he was telling him to cut him and I don't want to do it. Where any other trainer would be like, yeah, I'll cut you, fuck. You lose. You're gonna win.
Yeah. They're I think it was probably around then, but actually it was like when we started to do this idea that I felt like to actually explore. We went and met a cut man and watched him do shit, cold press on people's faces and just, all the things you don't think about. Like, oh, yeah, that's going on in the corner.
Colin got fucked up what he was doing. He did a scene in Trainwreck, and they had to stitch him up for something, a stitch man or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the guy did it, but I think something went wrong, and Colin wound up getting like fucking stitches in his head or something. The guy fucked up a little bit. He like sewed something to Colin's head. Yeah, I forget the story. Yeah, it was a great story though. Stupid Colin had something on his head. I don't remember what it was, but it was like one of those guys who was supposed to like a stitch guy.
So do you get like fully invested in this idea, and you write this script, and it's like you're pouring everything into it, and then it's just like that's it. Once you're done writing it, it doesn't get...
Dude, that's how... And I mean, I know you've done a bunch of TV stuff, too. I've done a few pilots where, you shoot and you pit. I've even shot one, like, on spec, where a guy spent a bunch of money just to shoot it. And then you go to, like, all the networks, and then, like, the next Monday, you'll be like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, it's just over.
That's
like,
it.
It's dead. You're like, oh, like, there's no more meetings? And they're like, no. We took it to all the places, and no one wants it.
And you're like, this is like a year of my life.
Oh, all right. So what should I do? They're like, I don't know, do something else with your life. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, that happens.
It's over like
it's
that.
It's cold,
That's
man.
so brutal.
Yeah.
They don't play games. It's fucking done.
Yeah.
Very fair. Were you watching boxing for a while, though, talking about the cut man to people? And like, I don't want to hear about this.
Yeah.
Were you watching? You're like, yeah, that's Clark. He came from, like, no one gives a shit.
Right.
Yeah, man. It's just over quick. So with the writing thing, it's different. Writing, like, a script can pass its way around.
Yeah.
But like pitches and pilots, you just get a call like, hey, they said no, and you're like, so what now? Like, 'cause it feels very anticlimactic,
Right.
And they're like, well, go work on something else, and you're like,
Right, because you're going
right.
oh, they said no. Okay, well, who do we pitch to now? Where do we go? Do we go in a different direction?
No, we
kinda
pitched it. We just pitched it, and now it's done.
What?
And now you got to figure out some new shit.
Yeah, you got to write something else. This other thing, it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, it's just done, dude.
That's brutal.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I've had it happen too. But
Have you?
Yeah, usually they let it live for well, there's a possibility.
Yeah.
You don't know. We got to pitch to different. You could change it or whatever. I've done a couple of things that I actually really liked.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that probably should have had something happen for it.
Right.
And then there's other things you do. You're like, yeah, I get why they said no.
That's it. That's very accurate. Yeah, it's the other things you're like, yeah, it's time to move on. This is fucking dog shit.
yeah.
But by other times you're like, oh man, really? Because this feels like a fucking like a definite buy, you know?
Yeah, and there's other things where you hear about shows all the time that get canceled and they put it back on a couple of years later. Or we always look at the ones like, hey, man, they whatever her name is, got turned down by 40 different publishers for fucking Harry Potter.
Isn't that incredible, man?
Yeah.
That's so astonishing.
And she stayed with the one.
And not only that, when she came after the success of Harry Potter, she has a ghostwriter name, a man, Robert something, right?
Uh-huh.
So that now everybody knows. It's J.K. Rowling's pen name. So she tried to
sell it as
after Harry Potter. So after
Yeah.
she was a huge success,
Yeah.
wrote a new series or book, sent it to people, got rejected by a bunch of people again, and then said like, "Oh, hey, that's me," and everyone was like, "We're just kidding." Like, could you, yeah, it's unbelievable.
wow.
Yeah.
That's the
Did
only.
she sell it to them or no?
She sold it to I think somebody who didn't pass on the original, sending it out. But
That's the only time you could repitch. It's like, okay, repitch it, and you can use my real name now.
yeah,
And it's just everybody's.
She's
all
pretty
about
big,
it.
though. You know who did that too? Stephen King with Richard Bachman. Remember the Bachman books? He wrote under an assumed name because anything he's put out sold.
Yeah.
So I think he wanted to see exactly how his stuff was received. So he wrote The Running Man is a Bachman book. The Long Walk. There's one called Rage, which may have been retitled.
But didn't people
Thinner,
know that? Or was
Thinner is a Bachman book.
Really?
Yep.
So that was written under that title?
Under Richard Bachman, yeah.
Do people know that, or was that a big story right after it was like announced? Hey, all these books are actually Stephen King books.
No, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't think people knew it eventually, though. I think it came out after he wrote them as Richard Bachman.
So it was his. It was like when I got tricked by Garth Brooks being Chris Gaines. I was so fooled.
you thought that was a brand new
I thought
artist.
that was a brand new artist.
And you were like, this guy's actually quite good.
It's one of the most hilarious things ever,
When he came out with the soul patch and everything.
dude. And like the hair that was like teased over one eye.
Yeah. And
Was
then
it a joke or for real?
No, it's
No, it's for real.
You've never seen this?
No.
It's amazing.
he put out an album.
Wow.
And he was like, because Garth was so big, and he was like, I gotta go in another direction.
Did he look like Garth?
It looks like Garth, but it's like
Is it believable that it's somebody else?
no,
no.
It just looks like you go like, what the fuck happened to Garth?
Oh.
He's got like
And-
black hair that like
yeah.
sweeps.
And
like,
he had a story
sweeping
for it
bangs.
too.
Yeah.
He had a story like Chris's parents died when he was younger,
Ew.
and like,
And it wasn't like country. It was more like
yeah.
like late 90s, early 2000s rock music.
Chris is more sexual.
Way more sexual.
Oh.
But then he said, because I think if I remember right, like Garth was hosting SNL, but the musical guest was Chris Gaines.
Oh,
So Chris
fucking
Gaines performed,
yuck.
and then
It was the grossest. It was nothing more disgusting.
Everybody knew it was him,
of course they did.
and he thought they didn't.
No, he knew that they did. He just said
He
it's
was
it's
just
like his
like-
alter ego.
Oh, he admitted that it was him.
Yes,
Oh, that's not as bad.
but then he
wasn't
said
trying to sneak it
it's
in
still
there.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
You should see. Tom is
It
showing
looks
Jim.
different.
a
I don't know
photo.
what, but you show me real Garth. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I
you know.
guess.
But he said it was for a movie. He said there was going to be a Chris Gaines movie.
They started to make, and I think the whole thing wasn't that wasn't released, that they made, or did they release?
They definitely didn't release it.
They didn't release the behind the music, because I thought they did like a fake behind the music for Chris Gaines too.
They did some kind of it, but they definitely didn't do the movie. The movie never came out.
What kind of an asshole has an alter ego? It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
I don't know, Chip. We could bring
Bring Scott
Scott
Aukerman.
Aukerman in here.
Hi guys.
How are
How's it
you?
going?
Well, I'll make sure his mic's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Hello.
How's How's it going?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good.
So nice
How's
to
it
meet
going?
you all.
We're good. You know Tom
too.
Segura,
Hi.
Nice to meet
How
you.
are you?
Good.
Jim Norton,
Of course, the legend.
Sam Roberts.
We're talking about projects too that haven't gotten picked up.
Oh yeah.
We've all had them, and
Yeah, 8 million of them
it's
on my
really-
hand.
It's the worst.
I
Right?
went like 15 years with nothing getting picked up.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, I did Mr. Show in the 90s, and then I did the Mr. Show movie, and that was in 2000, and then I think Shark Tale in like 2004 was the next thing I got done, and then nothing until Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show.
Do you think after Mr. Show, are you like, this is just gonna roll into like a ton of shit?
I was young. I was like the youngest guy on Mr. Show. I was
Yeah.
26, and it was my first job.
Yeah, you're like,
and I was just like, I got it on lock now. Like I'm like a member of Monty Python or something. I'm like, and then very quickly in 2000, the Mr. Show movie ate shit. And then I wrote a Tenacious D movie that didn't get made. And then I wrote another movie that didn't get made. And I was like, what is happening right now? I'm supposed to get every project made.
At what point did you realize, like, oh, fuck, they're not all just going to get picked up? Was it one after, or did we like 2 or 3?
It was like 3 that happened at the same time. And I started, I just bought a house, and I was about to lose it, and my car got repossessed. And it was like, oh, this is what show business is, And
what were you doing for money in that 15 years where nothing was getting made?
The weird part is I would do 3 or 4 projects a year where I would write a movie or I would write a TV show and get paid relatively well for it, and nothing would ever get on the air.
We were just talking about doing a show on Spec that Tom was doing, and just nothing coming of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did one on Spec, and then I shot a pilot. I think actually your wife did.
Oh, really?
A part in a pilot I did last year.
Oh, which one?
It was one for True.
Oh,
TV.
okay. Oh, yeah.
And then I just sold another.
His was too
pilot.
close to the one that they already had on. His was Impractical Gestures. It just
See,
sounds
I
too
at
close.
least change the title.
I thought they would air it just for 15, but
Right.
But they but just like that thing where when you're either pitching or when you shoot something on Spec, and then you go to all the networks, and then you're just like, what's next? And you just get the call like, no, it's done.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
It's such a bummer. I remember talking to Louis C.K., not to drop names, but I think he's a really good example of someone.
He's doing well.
Yeah, he's done really well. But I was talking to him when I was producing the live stand-up show that he would always used to do, Comedy Death Ray. And it was right when he had his CBS show that his CBS pilot that he made before Lucky Louie, before now Louie. And
was CBS before Lucky Louie? I thought it was after.
Maybe it was after.
Right.
Yeah, maybe I can't remember the chronology. But I was talking to him about it, and he was saying he gave some really good advice, which I've thought about a lot, which is you have to believe when you're doing something that with all your heart that is going to be the greatest television show or movie or whatever that is ever made, and you have to like think about it for the next 5 years and plan on it. And then the day they call you and say it's not going to get made, just say, okay, that's fine. And like take a day to be sad about it. And then the next day move on to the next thing, because otherwise you'll just kill yourself after every project.
He's nuts though. Louis is crazy. Like, he has the ability to do that. Like just to shut it down and move on to that. I get married to them mentally and I just get so fucking depressed. And I'm like, it's just a validation. You're worthless, stupid. You always knew that. It's hard to recover from that mentally.
You kind of have to be emotionally cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you do also know, everybody knows, like, especially comics who had like a pilot in 2006 and they bring it up like still, like you're like, oh, you're still not over.
Right.
Do you have guys talking about their pilots in 2006?
Oh yeah.
I don't want to hear about Seinfeld show from Seinfeld. I'm not any successful shows comedians have had.
It's like, but really that was like 10 years ago. It's like, let it go. Seinfeld. Come on.
So how did you get Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show, on the air?
That was a really weird situation where I kind of turned the corner mentally around 2006 or something, where my friend said to me, I would do what you did, Jim, where I would like be very into one thing that I was working on. And my friend said, and I was constantly broke too. And my friend said, you need to start stacking up like 5 projects at a time that you're working on, because you won't take it so hard when one doesn't happen. And you'll also be like simultaneously paid for a bunch of different things.
That's good advice.
So yeah, so I started just working more, because I would do one thing and I would work on it for 4 hours a day. And then, so I took on a lot more work and started working a lot harder. And then I was in the middle of this like insanely busy period of my life. And I started doing the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, which was getting, relatively popular for podcasts 6-7 years ago. It had only been out for a year, but the executives at IFC really liked it. And they just flat out offered me to do a pilot. I didn't pitch it or I didn't go in and sell it. They just said, hey, do you want to make a pilot? Here's some money, and I just went and made it.
You just made this like absurdist talk show.
Yeah. Yeah, and we didn't know what it was going to be, and up until when we were shooting, we were sort of like, I think it might be this, or
how many seasons did you get now?
5.
Wow,
110 episodes.
Wow,
Wow.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, last episodes ever.
And
so.
the podcast still goes.
Yeah,
What's
still
up with
once
those
or twice a
downloads,
week.
Dude? What's up with those downloads? Where you
What's
at?
up with? I don't. I hear we get 2 million a month. Is that
Hey now,
Jesus.
something like that?
hey, one a week?
1 or 2 a week. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
So still a very popular podcast, even in 2016 terms.
Yes.
Yeah, although not as popular as like a WTF or Nerdist or something like that. But yeah.
I guess. Still, but you're gonna
Well,
keep
because
doing
people
the
can
podcast.
watch it. That's why. It's hard. It's almost like you're competing with yourself.
Right.
People can watch the show, so
Yeah.
they probably watch the show and don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, weirdly, the podcast is more popular than the TV show.
Is it?
Strangely
Really?
enough, yeah. The podcast is people like it more.
It's astonishing, like how some shows viewership is so you hear
It's
the
so
numbers,
low, yeah.
and you're like, how does that stay on the air? And
Yeah.
it's still but because the spectrum's so wide and there's so many choices
Yeah.
that there's really it's not like 20 years ago where there's a bunch of shows that get like 20 and 30 million viewers. Like that
No.
doesn't even.
What's interesting is shows now are what they call loss leaders,
Mhm.
which is a loss leader when you have a market is like the shitty lighters that you sell, and you
Mhm.
sell them for less than what you pay for them. But it's to get people in the door, right? Or
Right.
like the VCR that you sell for something, for lower than cost. So shows now are loss leaders where the networks don't care about how many viewers they get. Like no one watches Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show. There would be some weeks when it would get a flat 0.
Wow.
And the thing is I read a really interesting article about Mad Men and why that got on the air. It was because AMC, which was the American Movie Classics channel, they just showed movies, and they were going to be dropped from cable stations because they're like, we don't have the bandwidth to have just a movie station on the air. So they knew that they had to make original programming, even if no one watched it. They needed to spend a lot of money to make something so that people would go, oh no, you can't drop AMC. I need to watch fill in the blank. And that's what shows have become now, is like they have these tiny, tiny niche audiences where they're very passionate about it, but no one really watches it, and it doesn't justify the money they spend on them, but it makes the brand, so in my case, IFC, people think that they need IFC on their cable packages.
Right.
All right, loss leader. That's what I'm going to pitch my next show as.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect loss leader for you guys. It's a
Yeah,
loss
exactly.
leader.
Yeah.
That's what Walmart does, though. Walmart loses money on their gas because
Yeah.
that way everybody drives to Walmart to get their gas.
And then while they're
go,
there,
yeah,
pick up
let
the
me
other
do my
stuff.
grocery shopping
that's
or whatever
smart.
it
But
is,
I mean,
yeah.
Jim, you have like such a passionate audience. I mean, you're like perfect for this kind of thing. And that's what I found in producing now is that if you just have a small but passionate audience, then that's what people want way more than something like Seinfeld, where everyone is going to watch it and everyone is going to be talking about it.
I'm going to go to HBO. I'm going to be like, look, you guys are on the fucking brink of getting kicked off of most cable networks. But I can help.
How difficult is it? Because you guys have brought in like with Comedy Bang Bang, but also with like Between Two Ferns. Like what fascinates me most about Between Two Ferns is when people like a Hillary Clinton are brought in, and like it's so, the back and forth is so important on the show, and like Zach's delivery is just as important as like Hillary's delivery is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And every single person is different and has their own strengths. Like the Barack Obama one and the Hillary Clinton one are really different.
Right.
So,
But they're like, because like Zach has to at some point be made to look like a fool, and like that's just the way it works. Do you sit there and do you coach Hillary? Like, do you write a script?
Obama's a good performer, by the way. Sorry.
that's the
Yeah.
thing is, and it's insane that we are in a world where we're sort of judging presidential candidates or sitting presidents' performances.
Yeah.
Like
how
why is that?
entertaining they are.
Yeah.
Why is that important anymore? But we do. It is what it is. But we sort of, every single guest who's on, we sort of try to figure out, what would they be good at, And
Right.
and Zach and I sit and talk about like, okay, what kind of joke do you think that this person is going to be able to sell? What's the sort of feel of each one? And we knew Obama and Hillary would be really different. Like Obama, it was more of a thing where because he was a sitting president and they weren't going to allow him to do it the way we normally do, which is improvised. We had to script it more. but he is a pretty natural speaker, and so he was able to improvise on top of the script a little more. But with Hillary, we just improvised it and just like sat there and found it. Yeah, I would say 75% of it was just improvised, and then we did like another 25% was scripted, and most of that got cut.
When Zach said to Obama, "How does it feel to be the last black president?" Like, what fucking balls!
Yeah,
that was such a great, funny, ballsy question.
I will say, because I look. Every step of the way, I thought they were going to shut it down.
Sure.
So I kept trying to say, hey, we would rather do it improvised, because I knew that we wanted to do jokes like that. And I just assumed once they saw a joke like that, they would say, no, we're never going to do this.
Yeah.
To the White House's credit, they got that script, and there was never an issue about that joke. They just approved it, and I couldn't believe it. I sat there by the phone going, okay, we're never going to do this. We're never going to do this. I'm going to get the call where they say no. They said yes. We were even in the White House about to tape it, and Zach was looking at the script, and he goes, oh, I'm going to cut that joke. They're never going to let us do it. And I said, no. It's approved. And he said it is, and I said, but he was just nervous about saying it.
He was actually nervous to ask.
He was actually nervous about saying it, and he was like looking for any excuse to cut it. And then I like made him. We have sort of a good cop bad cop thing where I like make him do the hard jokes, because I know those are the ones that are always gonna be the ones people talk about.
Right.
But when we're taping something, he'll often say to he has a list of the jokes, and the other person usually doesn't know what they are, and he'll often say to the person, oh, I don't want to do this one. He goes, Scott, I'm not going to do this next joke. And then he looks at me expectantly, and I go, no, Zach, you have to do it. And I have to be the bad cop, so he doesn't look bad to the person doing it.
Yeah, fair enough. That's good. That's smart by him.
Yeah. So we do that all the time, and then I'm the person, like, for instance, in the Natalie Portman one.
Way to sell him out, dude. Jesus.
The Natalie Portman one, there's a joke about, like, you shaved your head for V for Vendetta. Did you also shave your V for vagina? And he didn't want to say it. He didn't want to say it, and he made me go, Zach, you have to say that joke. That's going to be the one everyone talks about. And then, of course, she reads and goes, it's not that bad. Go ahead and say it.
Now, when you do the Hillary thing, the Hillary one, I imagine you said you improvised. Do you have way less time with her than you do with a regular?
We did. They actually only wanted to give us like 20 minutes, and I said, I'll do a 20-minute thing with you as long as there's no expectation of me putting it out, because I won't put it out if it's not good.
Yeah.
And that made them say, oh, okay, we'll give you a little more time. And they were great about it. They ended up giving us, I think, 35 to 45, and then said, just keep taping, and I'm sure it'll go longer. And we ended up doing like an hour or 5, an hour 10, something like that. Yeah, so it was really nice.
What's the standard time with an actor?
We have done them. Brad Pitt took a very short time. That was about an hour, but normally like 2 hours. Bruce Willis took 4 because we lit Zach on fire in it. And so there was a lot of just prepping with that. But normally we like to find it a little more and have a little more time.
Was there a moment like where you're like, oh, fuck, that question really backfired and that person got furious?
There have been a couple where I think the person has not been too happy with it when they've actually watched it. I mean, we always say to the person, like, this is not a prank show. We're not trying to make you feel bad. If there's ever a question where you're like, hey, don't put that in, we'll, certainly listen to you. And a lot of times now with the bigger guests, you have to get, they sort of you have to show it to them before you put it out.
Yeah.
And there's always a conversation.
You got to show them a cut.
Yeah, we'll show like the last 4 or 5, we've had to show the people a cut. And then there's always a conversation where you say, oh, yeah, this is a very typical reaction to watching a Between Two Ferns for the first time is, you go, hey, how come I don't have a bunch of funny lines, or how come I don't look like I'm having fun? The shoot was so fun. I want to look like I'm having fun. You have to say, well, it's Between Two Ferns.
Do you ever say, yeah, have you seen another one?
Yeah, I mean, you have to just go, that's what these are, is you have to look like you're not having fun,
And people know that you're in on the joke, though. Obviously, people watching it know that the person voluntarily is in on the joke with this show, so you're not being like you say, you're not being ambushed.
Yeah,
everybody knows you signed up for it.
Hopefully, I mean, what was weird about the Hillary one was it's the most popular one we've ever done in terms of numbers. It got 35 million hits the first day.
Whoa.
And then now it's up to 60 something or so.
That's like my podcast, dude. It's way up there.
But I noticed that people from both sides were sharing it. and the people on the Democratic side were saying, "Look how cool Hillary looks," and the people on the Republican side were saying, "Look how Zach destroys Hillary."
Yeah.
Right.
And they had no idea that she was in on it and wanted to do it.
Well, it's funny. People don't. I don't think the majority of people watching realize that it's filmed the way you would film like a skit. Like there are these breaks, and that you are like Zach is breaking character on set.
We try to make it look in real time,
right,
as much as we can, and we do. There's a lot of like sort of visual tricks that we do to make it seem in real time and editing tricks. But yeah, I mean, they're shot like over an hour.
So do you not like the? Because I mean. Do you not like pranking and stuff like that when somebody is really like doesn't know what they're getting into?
I get really weird about it. There's some performers that love it, you know? I mean, I've had to do pilots where I've had a prank element to it, and I remember I did an Andy Dick pilot, and that was the network was just constantly saying, "Can you have a prank element to it?" Because you know, whatever show was popular at the time, I don't know, Jackass or whatever, and I just get weird about it. I remember I went out on Hollywood Boulevard with Natasha Leggero, and for a pilot I was doing, she was a cast member of, and we were doing sort of a prank thing, but it wasn't even pranking them live. It was in editing. We were gonna. It was a question and answer where it was like Natasha asked a bunch of questions saying, "Who is your childhood hero?" And then out of the 50 questions, there was also like, who's the worst person of all time? And they'd say Adolf Hitler. Right. And then in editing, we were going to have the person saying, who's your childhood hero? And the person saying Adolf Hitler. And her going, wow. And the first person who did it said, "Oh, I see what you're doing. You're going to edit in all these responses to make me look bad." And all the planning that we had done over the 2 weeks, and you're sitting there nervous and you feel bad, and I hate doing stuff like that.
I hate it too. Pranking is silly. It's like you'd rather just kind of let them know that they're gonna.
Yeah, I like people having a good time, and I like when people are on Comedy Bang Bang. I like people going, "Wow, everyone said my episode was really great." I like that way more than someone being upset, even though it's happened a few times with Between Two Ferns.
I need the car because I got to go piss. I hate to walk out while you guys are talking, but we can't break because there's a problem technically. I'm going to piss my pants. You guys talk. I'll be right back.
Bye. And you need a card to piss you, like it's a coupon?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little thing that you normally when I walk in the men's room, I have a drill.
How did you feel about when Reggie Watts ends up going and yeah, you got to get camera ready. When Reggie Watts ends up being the band leader on James Corden's show, and he was coming from being I don't want to say the goof band leader, but Comedy Bang Bang.
The ironic version of it?
The ironic band leader. And then James Corden's like, no, he should actually be the band leader. Are you like, well, no, because I kind of have a talk show. You can't just take my band leader.
I mean, it was interesting because I think Reggie was going to probably leave the show anyway, so I definitely don't feel like James Corden stole him or anything like that. And I think Reggie is doing something different. He literally is a band leader.
Yeah, definitely.
He has a band, and so, would I say it's the most genius thought of, of all time of hey, we should get Reggie Watts to be a band leader. You know, it's like, well, yeah, he already is one.
Right.
But
it is funny to go to see him too. To go from isn't it funny that I'm Reggie Watts and I'm the band leader to being no, I'm Reggie Watts. I'm the band leader.
Yeah, exactly. So they're two very different shows, and I mean, Reggie is, I can imagine anyone seeing him and going, I would doubt that James Corden ever even saw Comedy Bang Bang. So
really?
Yeah, I met him the other day
he hadn't seen it.
At a wedding, and I expected some sort of oh yeah, Comedy Bang Bang, we got Reggie from you or whatever, and he looked at me like he had no idea, like I was someone with a blurred out face or something.
That's what I would have done though if I took your band leader guy. Right, yeah. I'd have been like, what's your name?
Yeah, I don't know.
That dude, by the way, Reggie. I've seen Reggie get a standing ovation on an 8-minute set in LA.
Right?
Isn't that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
I'm serious. 8 minutes.
So he just goes up, kind of just
with
does
his talent, with record something. Basically make a song and then be like, good night, and you're like, he just did 8 minutes and he got a standing ovation.
It's crazy. I didn't understand it the first time I saw him because I thought everything he was doing was planned.
Yeah.
And then the second time I saw him, he did a completely different set.
And you're like, whoa.
And I went, oh, I get what he's doing. He's literally improvising every single thing he does on stage. And I was like, oh, okay, I love this. This is great.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
Excuse me, how did you feel about Reggie Watts leaving?
We just talked.
You didn't steal you didn't steal my question.
Why are you? So why are you ending? Why are you ending the show? Comedy Bang Bang, by the way, is on Fridays at 11 and 11:30 on IFC.
Yeah, 2 episodes in a row.
And they're doing.
It's our final 10 episodes.
Right,
yeah.
right. And you're very excited. It seems like everything I've heard you talk about it, you're very, very excited about these 10. And you're treating them like we're going to throw everything we have at them.
We really wanted, we knew it was going to be the final 10, and I wanted to do every idea that we had always wanted to do, and just really, although the entire run of the show has been sort of that, has been me saying, hey, I've always wanted to do an episode where it's all in one take, and we'll just do it. So that's kind of Comedy Bang Bang anyway. But this was like, okay, we got to get in all those crazy ideas that we have been saving up.
You've done a whole episode in one take?
Yeah, well, every act was one take.
Oh,
okay. But the first act is a 15-minute long act, so it's all one take.
Like Ed Wood, how great, a man his size would have trouble walking through a door.
Yeah,
right. But yeah, I mean, I kind of was debating whether we would end it or not. The problem with doing a TV show, especially that many episodes, is you really start to run out of ideas,
right.
and you really, I think at one point a writer pitched something, and I said to her, not only have we done it before, but you wrote that. And she went, oh yeah, right. So I really didn't want to do another season if it was going to be like, I want to do it for the money, or I want to do it just to have TV show, or it was really a question. And I talked with Neil Campbell, our executive producer, of like, do we have more ideas? And at a certain point I thought, I think we do. And then Weird Al Yankovic became the band leader.
Right.
And he's so passionate about the show and loves it. And he really wanted to do another season. And so I started kind of feeling like, I think we can. I think we could do another season, and but still not sure. And so when IFC reached out to me and said, I think we want to, end the show, not because it's terrible, but because, 110 is good and we should just end it. I kind of was like, oh, that's a bummer, because we just started thinking maybe we could, but at the same time, I'm sort of a little relieved.
But you don't have to,
so you're not going to do it.
This is the end. Yeah.
And you don't have to be the bad guy now when Weird Al's like, so we're going to do them, right? Well, the network doesn't want to.
Sorry,
what can
buddy.
I tell you, dude?
But I'll just, I want to do something different with Al, so it's like, I don't know, Comedy Bang Bang is so hard to do, and it's such a labor of love, and we, it's such an intense process to make it that I'm sort of relieved that it's not happening anymore.
How long an episode?
We had to do an episode in 2 days. That's how long we had, but they had to be really long days, so they had to be sometimes the minimum is 12, but sometimes it would be 14, 16. You'd go 17 hours or something. It's like West Wing hours to make a dumb comedy show, And
it's just funny because like on a talk show, it's like, you write the monologue and everything, but then, there's a team, you do a skit, then you do the interviews
and
or
you're
whatever.
taping it in real time.
Right.
Usually.
Like there's not this intensive amount of writing that goes into
we would
Comedy
write
Bang
for 4 months before we started taping it. The season where we did 40 episodes in a calendar year, that took a year and 9 months to do.
Whoa.
So it's so much time, and and we loved it.
Yeah.
But even just producing the show, trying to get all the talent involved, like if you watch an episode of Comedy Bang Bang, you not only have the guest who's on the couch, who's like usually a major star,
right,
but you have people like, that I've always wanted to work with, like Michael McKeon from Spinal Tap, doing parts in the storyline, or, you have Lynn Marie Stewart from the Pee-wee's Playhouse, and wrangling all of those schedules. The last week of the show was so rough, us trying to put together the finale and then us also trying to wrangle everyone's schedules, that I was like, I am sort of glad that this is ending a little bit.
Do you like pitching comedy to like celebrities that may not be their strong suit? You know what I mean? Like when you have like Kevin Bacon, for instance, on the show.
Yeah.
And you want to do like a 6 Degrees bit, but it's different, but I have to pitch him a Degrees of Kevin Bacon bit.
Usually the process is it gets sent to his people, and then you either get pushback, and you start realizing this person is never going to actually do the show.
Right.
And that happened a lot of times where someone would schedule a date, you'd send them the material, and within 24 hours you'd hear they canceled. And you'd go, oh,
wow,
they hated the material. That happened all the time. And some people would cancel twice. Like there was one guy who canceled at 6 a.m. the day of shooting.
Wow.
And we had to scramble to find a replacement.
What was the reason given?
and it's always something of like, oh, our schedules have changed, or but you know all the time it's the material,
Right.
and you try to work with him and try to make him happy, but certain people will never be happy.
Is it contingent upon that person? Like, can you plug someone into the bit, or you're like, oh, we got to like rework this whole thing now?
Sometimes we've taken a bit that we've written for someone and given it to another person, but normally it's like if you write a bit for Weezer, it's Weezer specific, and when they drop out, it just. But
Weezer.
But for like Kevin Bacon or something, the best thing is when they say to you like, well, Kevin Bacon is not very emotive in terms of like, his responding to material. So the best thing he did was he read through a sketch with me and went, huh, funny. and that was like as big as he got, and I was like, wow, that's a big compliment. But like Josh Groban was on, and he like personally called the writer over to tell him how much he loved the stuff. And was like, you are really taking care of me. This is such a good script. Thank you so much. And that's when it's really fun.
Josh Groban loves comedy, though, right?
He does. Yeah, he's a big comedy fan.
Yeah. And he's been in a bunch of stuff. Do you worry at all? Like, so Comedy Bang Bang's coming to an end, and you're probably in your head going, like, I'll be fine. I'm going to move on to the next project. But that's what you said about Mr. Show, too.
Right. No, I mean, once you get something on the air, you almost feel like you have to hold on to it, because who knows if the next thing is ever going to come.
That's why last seasons are very rarely good. That's why a lot of last seasons of shows,
they keep going too long.
They go one extra one. It's like the fucking Ali Trevor Burbick. They just won't stop because there's the money.
Everyone always talks about the shitty last seasons of a show like Scrubs or whatever, and I just didn't really want to do that. I wanted to make sure the last season was really good.
Is that a notoriously bad last season?
I think that's one where it didn't even seem like Scrubs anymore, because it was all like a new generation of cast, and the main people were only doing like 1 out of 2 episodes or something,
Like when Archie Bunker's Place, after Edith dropped dead, and he had, what was the kid's name? Steph? The little, you remember the little...
Right, yeah. And it's always because it's like, we have a good thing going, we have a good brand, let's just milk every last drop of it. Luckily in TV, like with stuff like Lost now, you have creators pushing back on that and saying, no, I mean, we don't want to put out terrible seasons of the show. We want to put out,
Well, Seinfeld was famous for that too.
He ended it on his own.
They offered him $5 million an episode. He said no.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people would say, well, why still do it after Larry David left? He still did 1 year right after Larry David left, So it's like, and people would say to me, why do it after Reggie left? So
you're gonna be broke in a month, dude.
I know. I know.
Has anybody or have you been tempted? I would imagine that as Between Two Ferns got bigger and bigger and became this kind of internet phenomenon that it is, that people had to have come to you and Zach and pitched it as like let's make it bigger, let's do it on TV, let's combine it with this. Yeah, let's do a movie, let's do something. Like, how do you have the discipline to realize that this thing's place is on the internet, and we just do it sporadically? We don't do it regularly.
Yeah.
We don't tie it in with a bunch of other stuff. We just do it.
I think the problem when you have something that's successful is everyone wants to make it bigger and better.
Right.
And you really have to rebel against that a lot. And you really have to say, like, okay, now that we've had Obama, my friend was saying to me the other day, you can literally get anyone on Between Two Ferns that you want, right? And you have to say that, yeah, but the bigger thing is not always the better thing. Like, you can have some hugely famous person on the show, but if Zach and I look at it and go, oh God, that episode would be terrible, we just don't want to do it. Like, you really have to feel passionate about the thing you're putting out. And it's a balance. We looked at the Obama one, we looked at the Hillary one, and we were like, do we want to do these? And we had very, frank conversations about, we've had a good run. We can just say no, And so I think rebelling against the trying to make it bigger is something to really always do. I would love to follow up the Between Two Ferns Hillary one with some like rando celebrity, like, the third lead on Modern Family or something, and just do a funny one,
Right.
Like, I'm way more about, like, I just want it to be funny.
Right.
With the Hillary one and the Obama one, I just always wanted to say, like, okay, we won't put it out if it's not going to be funny. If you're going to make the jokes lame or tame them down, I won't do it.
If he were willing to do it and you thought like this would be a funny product, would you have Trump on to do one?
No, for both reasons that you said. He would not be willing to do it.
Mhm.
It would not be a funny product.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I just don't want to be around.
Well, that
him,
I understand that part.
So there have been people who have wanted to do it over the years that we go, it would probably be funny, but just the making of it would be
terrible.
Yeah.
Oh, you said no to people.
Oh yeah, we said yeah. I think the weirdest thing. I think Gary Johnson wanted to do one.
You got to get him. He's having a meltdown. This is perfect.
I just got this email from Gary Johnson would be willing to do a Between Two Ferns. It's like, oh really? You would be willing to do this thing that 60 million people would watch? Oh, cool.
It's very cool.
Oh, that's Thanks so much.
Yeah, I mean, every interview he does now. Yeah, but he's you might as well just air the interview of him on MSNBC or something. Every interview he does is a breakdown. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be. He'd be a good one because he's ready to fucking lose his mind. It's
right.
fun to watch. He had some interview with some guy just questioning his tax policy, and then at the end of it,
he got so mad.
Oh my God, it's so great.
Yeah, I love watching it. I love watching him. Does the White House reach out to you and go, "Hey, we want to do something with President Obama"? We're thinking that your show might be a good fit, blah, blah, blah.
That, for the first one, we were constantly reaching out to Obama saying we wanted to do one with him.
It's something that you specifically wanted
for about
to do.
4 years before we did
Wow.
it. And just trying to break them down to where they would agree. And then at one point, 2 years before we did it, we heard he might do it. And then what I heard was that he did a Reddit AMA instead. It's I'm not sure how those are equitable. Why is it one or the other? But
it's internet stuff.
I heard his daughters loved it too.
Yeah, his daughters loved Between Two Ferns, so I think we got in, somehow. But yeah, that usually happens. I actually think that Obama's people reached out to us about doing another one maybe a year or so ago, and then Zach and I were saying, why go back to the well? You
right.
know? I mean, it's we did, we've never had a repeat guest at this point.
That'd be a good one. That'd be a good one. Repeat guest.
Yeah, I guess.
They try to get him on this show, and we always say no.
Right.
We're just book solid.
Yeah, we got other
hard
stuff
to open
going
time
on.
in the schedule.
But that said, I think, now that he's out of office, it might be interesting to go back to it. You don't want to repeat yourself either. I mean,
right.
I don't know. Some people love to repeat themselves.
It's all we do on this show. Day in and day
well,
out.
when you're doing this much comedy, you have to hit the same things over and over.
But that's why you guys are good, though, because you're able to say no or to genuinely weigh if it made sense or not.
Right.
Yeah, the joke in the Hillary Clinton one that I was I still think about, and with any other election, the candidate would have left was the white power tie.
Right.
You're basically kind of implying that the guy running against you supports white power,
and
the white power movement.
Remember when the person in the audience to John McCain said that Obama is a Muslim, and he very rightly shut her down and said, no, he's not.
Yes.
He's a good person.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It very easily could have been that.
That's what I thought was
Trump wasn't a racist.
Right.
So
yeah, Hillary was just yeah, I'll go with that.
Yeah.
No, I'm with
It's such a weird campaign, isn't it? It's so crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
It's nuts.
They're both really good, so it's hard to pick.
You're an undecided, right?
I am actually. I still don't know. Yeah.
But he likes them both so much.
I do. I find them both so delightful and engaging.
I don't know. I can understand wanting to. I don't know how you can be undecided at this point.
Nobody does, but I really am. I
can understand not wanting to vote for Hillary Clinton in a way, or just thinking the whole paradigm is needs to be upset. But Trump isn't going to upset the paradigm. He like everyone says he is. He's going to get in there and really blow it up. He's a billionaire.
It's an outsider, bro.
He's going to make everything good for billionaires in a worse way than most presidents already do.
I would consider Gary Johnson if he wasn't such a dope.
Yeah,
I just don't want to vote for.
I think a lot of people were excited about that possibility.
Yeah,
until he
was
revealed to be such.
Hillary
a dope.
to me is a big part of the establishment. She's
right.
a very bright person.
But the establishment is better than. I know exactly what you mean. You want someone to come in and actually fight for the little person.
No. I don't even. Trump's not gonna fight for the little person. He doesn't give a fuck about me. She probably cares more about me than he does.
Yeah.
But I just think it'd be great just to see somebody go in there and just wreck it for all of them. That's what I want.
But I think it's going to be wreck it in a terrible way that's going to make it even worse for the little person.
You may be right, but my life isn't that great anyway. I'm willing to let a guy with a fucking
that's what you see nowadays is everyone just going look, no one's been paying attention to me. My life sucks. Let's just say fuck it. You know?
I mean, that's what that movement's about for him. I think a lot too.
He's the wrong person for that movement.
Yeah,
I appreciate that movement.
I think
the
only
guy.
good thing he did was open up the possibility of a true separate outside of the system candidate coming up. So maybe 2020 or something.
Someone who doesn't have to constantly micromanage everything they say.
Yes.
That's what people I think respond to is a guy who doesn't apologize and a guy who who just goes out there and tells it like it is.
Clearly
Unfortunately,
ignores.
his like it is really, really scary.
That's the problem.
I just
You
don't
know?
see anyone. That's exactly what it is. People think, oh, everyone's just a bunch of racists who like Trump.
Yeah.
It's not that at all.
Yeah.
You just like the idea that somebody is not one of them, even if
Yes.
that's the best choice.
And he's upsetting them. Like the idea that like the mainstream media
Yeah.
and the people who are in power and all these people all hate this guy. It's making the people, like you said, whose lives
I
suck
totally
now.
People
that
understand
are
that.
struggling get excited by that. I
Yeah.
think, you
Yeah.
know? If
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
like, well, wait, another Clinton? Fuck that. Like, my
Exactly.
life is
No,
shit.
I mean,
I
yeah.
want the one that makes you mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
yeah.
totally get it. It's just unfortunate that the person behind the whole movement is just, I mean, even setting aside his kind of un-American things he says, or even setting aside the sexist stuff he says. I mean, I think women kind of get it, like when they see a guy like that going wrong, wrong, and shutting down a woman they've been in that situation too many times. But putting aside all of that, he's just a billionaire who wants to make sure that stuff is good for Trump, you know, like that he gets more money, you know.
It is funny when he talks about like the laws that he's taken advantage of. And how if he were president, that's why you should vote for me, because I have taken advantage
He
of the
will
laws.
never do that. Can you imagine getting into office and like saying, okay, now I'm going to pay taxes and I'm going to change the laws so I have to pay.
Right. He won't change them so he has to pay them, but he'll change them so that other people can't have the advantages that
You know
he
what-
had.
you know
what
But
it
it's
is?
not to
Yeah.
make anything better. It's to be like, well, now all the stuff that I got, you can't have it.
He's
now
an
I can.
ugly, naked version of all of them. He's no different than any of them. They're all shitty, self-obsessed, self-absorbed people. They're just really good at hiding it and really good at putting an altruistic face on it. They're all the same.
He just can't hide it.
He is them naked.
Yeah.
That's exactly. He's not like this. He's not even that much of an outsider in that. Like
Yeah.
he thinks this. Like he said, I know politicians. I've put money in all their campaigns. They've all dealt with him.
Yeah.
I do think that there are politicians out there who truly, truly care about people who are less fortunate and who want to make people's lives better and are worried about things like wealth inequality. And I
believe Bernie in
personally
that. I
believe
that he
that
cared.
Clinton is one of those
Yeah.
people. And I think that because of the public face that you see on her where she's micromanaged to such an extent, you know, if you just talk to her, you get a sense that she really does care about people and is trying to make things better. But you know, it's unfortunate that we don't get to see that side of politicians normally, and that so many politicians are people who are just trying to stay in power, and you know, I don't know.
Trump's compassion is not his strong suit.
No,
It's
no.
not his strong suit.
Did you feel like you got any real insight to Obama or to Hillary when you were doing the shows with them, or is it more they're just here on the job doing the
I
thing?
feel like with Obama, most of my interactions with him were the first day was all about the job, and then when I met him at the White House, it was just a 5-minute meeting with my wife, you know, just, you know, taking a picture with him. So I didn't really get too much of a sense.
You didn't take a
From
picture
him?
the first day?
We took a
so,
group
okay.
picture, yeah. But with Hillary, I think there was a little more downtime where we were setting up shots, and so she and Zach were talking, and you know, she was talking about some really interesting things about, number one, how long the campaign is, and how the length of the campaigns now, which are sort of based on these antiquated. You know, campaigns used to have to be a long time because you had to get the word out to the entire country,
Sure,
and it was
right.
very difficult to do. It's insane that they've been campaigning this long.
Right.
There is no reason for them
And
to
it just
do a
goes-
year and a half.
It goes up and down arbitrarily
Yeah.
for no reason whatsoever.
No
That is
reason-
a good point too. Years ago, you were on a train,
Right.
going from place
and
to
trying
place.
to get newspapers to talk about it
Yeah.
so people would read about
Yeah,
you. And
that's right.
nowadays we just see a year and a half every single day of this stuff,
Right.
and it's
You
just
really
numbing.
want it to be over. I want it to be over so
Yeah.
badly. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just
I'm
exhausting.
enjoying it though. It is. I like the fact that after this fucking election, they're both gonna need a shower. That just feels really good.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, because Obama. I actually like a lot. Like I feel he's a very genuine dude. But most of them I don't feel are genuine people.
Yeah.
It's fun to watch them clawing at each other. It's just satisfying.
Did Hillary smell okay?
I never got in on that.
That
I think
close enough?
I mean,
did
I
you hear
was.
the Bill Clinton's quotes. This old mistress came out and said
No.
that
There was one of Bill Clinton's old mistresses, you know, allegedly, whatever. She said she was his mistress in the 70s, and she said Hillary Clinton had terrible hygiene and
Oof.
greasy hair. So,
Okay.
you know, you'd be a guy that I would talk to about that. Did she have? She said she had very bad body odor, which I'm assuming if she had terrible body odor, you would have noticed.
I probally would have noticed
but
that.
you didn't notice.
And
that.
one can presume that what was maybe, you know, how everyone did it in the 70s
Right.
would be updated throughout the years.
Yeah, you could.
Did
Or
you hug her?
No.
Handshake.
I believe I shook her hand, yeah. Mhm.
Huh.
I think hugging is weird for women in
Right.
general, like making a woman hug you. I always feel bad. My friends who are women or like my coworkers who are women, I think, isn't it weird that we expect women to hug?
Well, don't forget, men have gotten more affectionate too. Like
Yeah.
years ago, Tom Jones said that his father, was like one of those old Welsh guys, would shake a man's hand once, and the next time he saw him, the guy shook his hand and goes, I already know him. Like, it was bizarre to touch that much for a man.
Right.
And now guys are like, we're very affectionate,
Hugging.
like
Yeah.
much more. I think even men are like that with each other.
Yeah.
But there is that whole thing. Like for years, I would hug women. I would always just kind of come up from the back, and I would just scoop them up.
You would?
And then, yeah.
Oh, dear.
You got to be careful of the creepy hug. It's gross.
Sometimes, but like you can take a beat and women will lead. Sometimes.
Sometimes they'll lead. I always try to make them lead. Like
Yeah.
if a woman wants to hug,
Yeah.
but I also think it's sort of been programmed into them that they have to
Right.
ingratiate themselves.
It's the female greeting.
I always just try to do a handshake
Yeah.
because it's like, why,
Do you
just
kiss the hand? Do you?
especially someone who, yes, I try to kiss the hand. I present them with a red rose.
Yes,
I try to
milady.
do it classy,
No, that is true. And then women pretend not to notice that the guy is hugging way too tight.
Yeah,
trying
or
to
like
get, a
trying to
cleavage
rub up
squeeze.
against. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's just.
If you give a respectful, like if it happens, it's kind of the same way you'd hug a guy. Like you fucking keep your crotch back.
Yeah.
Right. It's just a
A
polite.
pat on the back several times to make sure that they know you're not like
kind of
enjoying
side
it.
hip
Absolutely,
into
yeah.
it. You lead with the hip.
Yeah,
But it is a little
exactly.
weird, the whole hugging.
Guys are hugging more, though.
I
I agree.
think that's right.
If you just hugged everybody, I would sort of get it. Where it was like guys, girls. Anytime I see another human being, I'm
Exactly.
gonna
If you've
just wrap
got
my arms
genitals, I'm
around him.
pressing against you.
Oh my God! Is there anything that you're specifically looking forward to the most, as far as people seeing the last 10 episodes? Like, is there one?
Yeah, I think there's the Allison Janney episode is really interesting. We're like sort of satirizing those very special episodes from the 80s where every sitcom would do an episode about some big important theme.
Sure.
Oh, the sitcom episode with the message.
Yes. So we're
like,
doing
like Dudley in the bicycle shop.
yeah.
Oh, come on. How hot was that? Mr. Carlson from WKRP in Cincinnati.
That's your thing.
Yeah,
You
trying
like
to toss
The
Arnold.
Maytag repairman.
Oh, was he also the
He was
Maytag?
also that. Yes, that's
So
what you're
funny.
into.
I love how fast Mr. fucking Drummond got over there, too.
Oh yeah, he did.
Amazing how fast they get over there. Dumb Dudley just sitting
Almost
there.
like he had been waiting for it. Like, look, I mean, when you think about it, Arnold is kind of like the child molester's dream. You know,
Oh,
he's never
yes.
going to get bigger. He's going to get older, where he's
Right.
legal, but he's never going to get bigger.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have that. We have. I mean, the last two are really great, I think. And the one coming up this week, Jason Mantzoukas is the host, and I'm the guest. So that's fun for me. I always wanted to actually, when you host a show, you never get to experience what the guest gets to experience. So
Right.
it's cool to like do everything. I wanted to do it exactly like they do, where I didn't know the questions. I come in from around the corner. I hit my mark. I like shake their hand. I sit on the couch. You know, I wanted
Wait,
to do
they don't
all
know
of
the
that.
questions first when they're in?
On Comedy Bang Bang, I never tell them the questions. No.
So what is the material that they have an objection to?
We'll do sketch questions that we weave into the improv as well. So, you know, if you watch the show, it's kind of, it goes back and forth from improv question, sketch question, improv question, sketch question. Yeah.
How do you go to your next project without the kind of autonomy that you have at Comedy Bang Bang, right? Like you figured out this thing and it's your baby and you get to kind of have control, I would think,
Yeah.
over most of the elements.
It's tough. I'm actually talking to someone right now about writing a show, and I really started having this feeling like, do I want to, someone else would be producing it? I was like,
Right.
do I really want to be in a situation again where I've had it really good with IFC, where 95% of what I turn in, they are fine with, and then the 5% that they're not fine with, I argue with them, and they give in to another 3. You know,
Right.
so, and between two ferns, again, we just put it up the way we want to put it up. So it's kind of a difficult situation, trying to imagine. You know, I would love to act in someone else's thing and just like, hey, it's your thing.
Right.
Let me just act in it. You know, you put it together however you want. But if I'm writing it, it's kind of one of these things where I sort of want to have control over the finished thing.
Because your
Yeah.
name will be on it. They'll use your
Yeah.
name, and then all of a sudden it's not what you want.
Yeah.
That's
But the next
awful.
thing I'm doing, I can't really say what it is, but it's coming out in February. It's like a thing where I have control over it, I
A
think,
Valentine's
so.
Day movie. Those are always fun.
It's a sequel to
figured
Gary
that out,
Marshall's
too.
Valentine's Day, a spiritual sequel.
was that Gary's movie? That the one with
Yeah.
every celebrity in
Yeah,
it?
he did Valentine's Day, then he did New Year's Day, then he did Mother's Day, right?
Yes.
The
Okay.
trifecta
Yes.
of terrible.
Is it a movie?
Were they bad movies? I didn't see them. I, mean,
I only saw the first one.
Was it good?
No.
Yeah, no. It was cast. That's the movie.
It was definitely cast.
it
It
was
definitely
cast.
was up. It was all up there on the screen.
Yeah.
It was definitely all right. Yeah, it was a finished movie.
How does your wife? Is your wife glad that you're not going to be doing? Because it seems like Comedy Bang Bang is an extreme amount of work.
Yeah, there was a period last year where we were both doing our own separate shows and we would never see each other. And now she's back directing her show this month, and so I'm never seeing her, and I'm a little more at home. But
Yeah.
it's
Do you
tough.
do well with downtime or no?
I want more of it.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I have a stack of books I want to read, and a bunch of movies that I bought that I want to watch, and but then I just get in these situations where this new thing I'm working on, my friend called me and said, "Hey, do you want to do this thing?" And it sounded so fun. I was like, "Okay, let's do that for 4 months."
Right.
And then it's every single day you're working. I don't know. It's tough. I'm kind of a workaholic.
But how much time is okay? Like you want to read books and take like how much time can you read books where you're like, okay, now I'm panicking? Like,
Yeah.
Can you do a week of that or a month of it?
I went on vacation with my wife to Costa Rica, and I was so burnt out. This was a couple years ago, and I brought some books. I brought Tina Fey's book, and I read Tina Fey's book the first day in Costa Rica, and I was like, and it inspired me. I was like, oh man, I want to write a book. So I spent the rest of the vacation writing a book pitch, and when I got home, I sold the book pitch. It was like, I can't turn it off for some reason. Like anytime I have downtime, I'll read something or I'll watch something that'll get me inspired to make something else.
Yeah.
So
Well, creative shit's weird because when it hits you, you're like, I'm afraid.
I got to
to
do
let
it,
go.
otherwise
Right.
I'm going to forget it all.
Yeah, I text myself. I'm so scared that I'm going to lose like what could be the great idea.
Yeah.
It's called a lot of people would call that desperation, which is maybe you start to panic. Like I can't fucking just let this go.
Like it's
not
the
gonna
only
happen.
idea you'll ever have.
It's the only one I'm ever gonna
Right.
have,
Yeah.
and this is the one.
Yeah.
Right. Totally.
Yeah.
Well, they're confident that we can take a break.
Oh, they are. Okay,
They are.
cool, good. Because I had to. All right. Oh, yeah. We have plenty of time for this.
Right. So we're gonna take a break. Scott, thank you for coming by, man.
Thank you guys.
I didn't sell them.
Did you? And what was the feature length that you wrote? What was the general gist of it?
Well, the first one was about a boxing trainer and a cut man. So it was based on a short film that Ryan Sickler is a comic we wrote together. It's called Cut Man, and it's basically a couple of.
I had one about a ladies' man, but it was the title was spelled slightly differently.
This was like a couple of like off the wall trainer, because that world of boxing is so corrupt and everything. So this was like a trainer that like beats people, with chairs, and then and his gym was going to close. It was taken over by the trainer from the other side of town who used to be middleweight champion of the world. And the cut man is like they're always like weird dudes,
Sure.
like cut men. So this cut man, like he would put like shrimp over your ears to heal your just weird shit. It was a goofy
Comedy.
Yeah.
Now, was Bundini a cut man or no? Was he Ali's cut man or no? No.
I don't know.
What did Bundini do? He was part of Ali's team. I don't remember.
I don't think he was his cut man, no.
No, there's a bar in New York, which I've actually been in. It's where Raging Bull shot the last. Remember when De Niro was doing stand-up?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I said, where's the toilet? He said, you're in it. It's like the best bad stand-up ever.
Yeah.
And that's a bar where they have you walk in there and there's like stuff with Sugar Ray Robinson and there's all this great, great boxing history. And they said it was owned by like Ali's Cutman's grandson now or something like that. But
Yeah.
his Cutman originally owned that.
Yeah, those dudes are like cutmen are a rare breed, man. I mean, they are.
Where'd you get to know about them or of them or
well,
them?
the cut man idea was Sickler and I were just like stand-ups watching, we just hung out a lot.
Yeah.
And he was always watching, HBO boxing and all the big fights. And he goes, "We should do something. I want to play a cut man." He's like, "Cause look at these, like, dude had like 38 pins on him, like a teenage girl would at a fucking pop show or something."
Right.
And like they were just obscure, like weird dudes.
What was
Yeah.
on the pins? They were like button pins or they had...
Yeah,
Like
just,
flair.
Like dudes would wear flair,
Yeah.
and they have like just quirky. They were quirky. They had quirky personalities
Right.
and story. And like boxing is such a fucking weird sport where like it's just full of corruption.
Right.
So that we thought was a rich place to go for a comedy.
What was the first time you saw? The first time I ever heard of a cut man was like most people in Rocky. You gotta cut me, Mick. That's the first time I ever knew that they actually did that.
Yeah.
Was that 76 where he was telling him to cut him, and I don't want to do it. Where any other trainer would be like, "Yeah, I'll cut you. Fuck, you lose. You're gonna win."
Yeah. They're. I think it was probably around then, but actually it was like when we started to do this idea that I felt like to actually explore. We went and met a cut man and watched him do shit, cold press on people's faces and just, all the things you don't think about. Like, oh, yeah, that's going on in the corner.
Colin got fucked up what he was doing. He did a scene in Trainwreck, and they had to stitch him up for something, a stitch man or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And the guy did it, but I think something went wrong, and Colin wound up getting like fucking stitches in his head or something. The guy fucked up a little bit. He like sewed something to Colin's head. Yeah, I forget the story. Yeah, it was a great story though. Stupid Colin had something on his head. I don't remember what it was, but it was like one of those guys who was supposed to like a stitch guy.
So do you get like fully invested in this idea, and you write this script, and it's like you're pouring everything into it, and then it's just like that's it. Once you're done writing it, it doesn't get...
Dude, that's how... And I mean, I know you've done a bunch of TV stuff, too. I've done a few pilots where, you shoot and you pit. I've even shot one, like, on spec, where a guy spent a bunch of money just to shoot it. And then you go to, like, all the networks, and then, like, the next Monday, you'll be like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, it's just over.
That's
like,
it.
It's dead. You're like, oh, like, there's no more meetings? And they're like, no. We took it to all the places, and no one wants it.
And you're like, this is like a year of my life.
Oh, all right. So what should I do? They're like, I don't know. Do something else with your life. Like, figure it out.
Yeah, that happens.
It's over like
it's
that.
It's cold,
That's
man.
so brutal.
Yeah.
They don't play games. It's fucking done.
Yeah.
Very fair. Were you watching boxing for a while, though, talking about the cut man to people? And like, I don't want to hear about this.
Yeah.
Were you watching? You're like, yeah, that's Clark. He came from, like, no one gives a shit.
Right.
Yeah, man. It's just over quick. So with the writing thing, it's different. Writing, like, a script can pass its way around. But like pitches and pilots, you just get a call like, hey, they said no, and you're like, so what now? Because it feels very anticlimactic,
Right.
And they're like, well, go work on something else. And you're like,
Right, because you're going
right.
oh, they said no. Okay, well, who do we pitch to now? Tom Segura is here.
Yes, he is.
And it really, it's nice that you get to see the incompetence that encompasses our show.
Yes.
It's all about the West Coast, dude. That's the problem.
What do you mean?
You should have stayed in New York.
It's not. This isn't our spot.
That's right.
This is the West Coast is rejecting us.
We just want to branch out.
Yeah. Well, and how much do you love the weather here? Let's talk about weather, guys.
Oh, it's delightful. We just wanted to prove that we weren't one coast ponies. We wanted
Right.
to come over here and just conquer.
Yeah, we're gonna conquer the West Coast. Not gonna happen.
I feel
Bombing
like it's
miserably.
happening. Don't you want to move here now?
You think so? Yeah. It was so fun, and I had never even thought of this, but Jim had all these great observations yesterday about the wacky people and the traffic.
The traffic is terrible.
Oh, so you are local. You know.
Wait till it rains.
They don't drive well, right? They don't drive well.
Oh, it's a disaster.
Wow, this is all the LA insight that you get only this week.
Man, every first 2-year comic is like, what's going on? Fucking rain. No, everyone's falling apart. And then they think it's like the original bit.
Do they really do that?
Of course.
Oh.
Like, especially because most people are transplants. So
Right.
It's like everyone's like, I just got here. What's going on with this rain? Everyone
Right.
just freaked out because it drizzled, and you think like it's
You've
like
made
a
this great
sharp-
observation.
Sharp observation.
Yeah, you kind of really coming in and telling LA about itself, and people are like, oh, this guy doesn't take any prisoners.
And then you're like, 3 years in, and you're like, I just saw 40 guys do that bit.
Right,
Should probably drop that.
Where'd you move from?
I moved from, actually, I was working in D.C. and it was like 6 months after college, and moved out here, and then started stand up about 4 months later in 2002.
So what'd you move out here for?
I thought I was going to be. I thought I would be a comedic actor. So I heard about the Groundlings and stuff, and I was like, oh, I'll do that, and then I'll do SNL next year. And then,
Did you do the Groundlings? You join?
Yeah. Well, I did the
audition?
school. I did the school.
Right.
I did probably 3 levels, and then there's Writing Lab is before Sunday Company.
Yeah.
What they call it. And when they invited me for that, I had already started stand up, and it was just one of those things where they call you twice, and if you turn it down twice, they don't call you again.
Do you have to re-audition if you want to go?
I think so.
And what's the space in between the calls?
I feel like I got a call probably like at end of summer, and then they probably called me 3 or 4 months later and like, hey, you want to do Writing Lab? And I just felt like it was interfering with that point with stand-up.
Because you actually liked stand-up.
I liked it, and I was, I didn't want to have something happen where I would have to turn down stand-up.
Yeah. So at that point, like when you started doing stand-up, did you kind of give up on your? I'm gonna do Groundlings, and then next year I'll do SNL. And
I
then
just figured, they'll probably come to my show and pick me out of there.
So you were still like, I'll definitely still be on SNL.
Some movie producer will come to this.
Yeah, no
and be
problem.
Like,
do you
want
regret
to
it?
Star? No, I don't regret it. But I do feel like, oh man, it still would be fun to do.
Sure.
To do
Not SNL. I don't feel like I'm an SNL guy, but to do like TV movies, I think that would be fun.
Could you pump out the kind of volume of shit they do on SNL? Like I mean, just of product. Like it's sketch after sketch after.
Yeah.
I could never create.
Dude,
like,
when I
with
went
that.
to,
I also feel like that's such a, just like stand up is a muscle. Like when you're in the clubs and you're doing it all the time, you're touring, especially like when you're touring, you see touring comics and they're like usually a different level of stand up because they just work it that much.
And in front of different audiences.
Yeah, in front of, those really hardcore sketch people are on another level of producing sketches.
I went to the dress rehearsal a couple weeks ago for SNL.
Yeah.
And it really drove home the content aspect of it, because not only do they have to do a show every week, but they're writing 5 times as much for every show. Even by the time they get to dress rehearsal, 2 hours before the show airs.
So much is tossed.
Yeah, there's at least 3 skits that don't make television.
And you probably can't even go back and reuse them. You figure like, man, we could reuse that one. And I mean, they must change them up a little bit and repitch.
Yeah.
I'd be fucking recycling the same shit week after
Would
week.
you?
Yes.
What I heard too is like people go, it's that thing where you go, I'll save this joke for later.
Yeah.
And they said like you learn that there's no such thing. You throw everything in while you can.
Right.
Because I remember out here, everyone is a script writer,
Yeah.
And there's so many guys who are like, I'm going to use that in a script. And then after a few years, like, no, you're not. You don't even finish fucking scripts.
Right.
But
Because every good idea you have, you just put it into this thing of like, this is my saved ideas notebook.
I mean, I know guys that are like 12 years into a script.
Have you written any?
I have written a couple pilots that I sold one, and I've written a couple feature lengths. But
Nothing until Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show.
do you think after Mr. Show, are you like, this is just going to roll into like a ton of shit?
I was young. I was like the youngest guy on Mr. Show. I was
Yeah.
26, and it was my first job.
Yeah, you're like, this
And
is
I was just like, I got it on lock now. Like I'm like a member of Monty Python or something. I'm like, and then very quickly in 2000, the Mr. Show movie ate shit. And then I wrote a Tenacious D movie that didn't get made, and then I wrote another movie that didn't get made, and I was like, what is happening right now? I'm supposed to get every project made.
At what point did you realize, like, oh, fuck, they're not all just going to get picked up? Was it one after, or were you like 2 or 3?
It was like 3 that happened at the same time, and I started, I just bought a house, and I was about to lose it, and my car got repossessed, and it was like, oh, this is what show business is, and
what were you doing for money in that 15 years where nothing was getting made?
The weird part is I would do 3 or 4 projects a year where I would write a movie or I would write a TV show and get paid relatively well for it, and nothing would ever get on the air.
We were just talking about doing a show on Spec that Tom was doing, and just nothing coming of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did one on Spec, and then I shot a pilot. I think actually your wife did
Oh,
a
really?
part in a pilot I did last year.
Oh, which one?
It was one for True.
Oh,
TV.
okay. Oh, yeah.
And then I just sold another.
His was
script
too
pilot.
close to the one that they already had on. His was Impractical Gestures. It just
See, I
sounds
would
too
at
close.
least change the title.
I thought they would air it just for 15, but
Right.
But they but just like that thing where when you're either pitching or when you shoot something on Spec, and then you go to all the networks, and then you're just like, what's next? And you just get the call like, no, it's done.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh.
It's such a bummer. I remember talking to Louis C.K., not to drop names, but I think he's a really good example of someone.
He's doing well.
Yeah, he's done really well. But I was talking to him when I was producing the live stand-up show that he would always used to do, Comedy Death Ray, and it was right when he had his CBS show that his CBS pilot that he made before Lucky Louie, before now Louie. And
was CBS before Lucky Louie? I thought it was after.
Maybe
You
it was
might be
after.
right.
Yeah,
I thought it
maybe
was after.
I can't remember the chronology. But I was talking to him about it, and he was saying he gave some really good advice, which I've thought about a lot, which is you have to believe when you're doing something that with all your heart that is going to be the greatest television show or movie or whatever that is ever made, and you have to like think about it for the next 5 years and plan on it. And then the day they call you and say it's not going to get made, just say, okay, that's fine. And like take a day to be sad about it. And then the next day move on to the next thing, because otherwise you'll just kill yourself after every project.
He's nuts though. Louis is crazy. Like, he has the ability to do that. Like just to shut it down and move on to that. I get married to them mentally and I just get so fucking depressed. And I'm like, it's just a validation. You're worthless, stupid. You always knew that. It's hard to recover from that mentally.
You kind of have to be emotionally cut off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you do also know, everybody knows, like, especially comics who had like a pilot in 2006 and they bring it up like still, like you're like, oh, you're still not over.
Right. Do you have guys talking about their pilots in 2006?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to hear about Seinfeld show from Seinfeld. Any successful shows comedians have had.
It's like, but really, that was like 10 years ago. It's like, let it go. Come on.
So how did you get Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show, on the air?
That was a really weird situation where I kind of turned the corner mentally around 2006 or something, where my friend said to me, I would do what you did, Jim, where I would like be very into one thing that I was working on. And my friend said, and I was constantly broke too. And my friend said, you need to start stacking up like 5 projects at a time that you're working on, because you won't take it so hard when one doesn't happen. And you'll also be like simultaneously paid for a bunch of different things.
That's good advice.
So yeah, so I started just working more, because I would do one thing and I would work on it for 4 hours a day. And then, So I took on a lot more work and started working a lot harder. And then I was in the middle of this like insanely busy period of my life. And I started doing the Comedy Bang Bang podcast, which was getting, relatively popular for podcasts 6-7 years ago. It had only been out for a year, but the executives at IFC really liked it. And they just flat out offered me to do a pilot. I didn't pitch it or I didn't go in and sell it. They just said, hey, do you want to make a pilot? Here's some money, and I just went and made it.
You just made this like absurdist talk show.
Yeah.
Oh, where do we go? Do we go in a different direction?
No, we pitched it. We just pitched it, and now it's done.
What?
And now you got to figure out some new shit.
Yeah, you got to write something else. This other thing, it's not going to happen for you.
Yeah, it's just done, dude.
That's brutal.
That's the worst.
Yeah.
I've had it happen too.
Have you?
Yeah, usually they let it live for like, well, there's a possibility.
Yeah.
You don't know. We got to pitch to different. You could change it or whatever. I've done a couple of things that I actually really liked.
Yeah.
I was like, that probably should have had something happen for it.
Right.
And there's other things you do. You're like, I get why they said no.
That's it. That's very accurate. Yeah. It's the other things you're like, it's time to move on. This is fucking dog shit.
Yeah.
But by other times you're like, oh man, really? Because this feels like a fucking like a definite buy,
Yeah, and there's other things where you hear about shows all the time that get canceled and they put it back on a couple of years later. Or we always look at the ones like, hey man, they like, whatever her name is, got turned down by 40 different publishers for fucking Harry Potter.
Isn't that incredible, man?
Yeah.
That's so astonishing.
And she stayed with the one.
And not only that, when she came after the success of Harry Potter, she has a ghostwriter name, a man, Robert something, right?
Uh-huh.
So that now everybody knows. It's J.K. Rowling's pen name. So she tried to
sell it as
after Harry Potter. So after she was a huge success, wrote a new series or book, sent it to people, got rejected by a bunch of people again, and then said like, "Oh, hey, that's me," and everyone was like, "We're just kidding." Could you, it's unbelievable.
Wow,
did she sell it to them or no?
She sold it to, I think, somebody who didn't pass on the original, sending it out. But
that's the only time you could repitch. It's like, okay, repitch it, and you can use my real name now.
Yeah,
and it's just everybody's.
She's
all
pretty
about
big, though. You know who did that too? Stephen King with Richard Bachman. Remember the Bachman books? He wrote under an assumed name because anything he's put out sold.
Yeah.
So I think he wanted to see exactly how his stuff was received. So he wrote The Running Man is a Bachman book. The Long Walk. There's one called Rage, which may have been retitled.
But didn't people
Thinner,
know that? Or was
Thinner is a Bachman book.
Really?
Yep.
So that was written under that title?
Under Richard Bachman, yeah.
Did people know that, or was that a big story right after it was like announced, hey, all these books are actually Stephen King books?
No, I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't think people knew it eventually, though. I think it came out after he wrote them as Richard Bachman.
So it was his. It was like when I got tricked by Garth Brooks being Chris Gaines. I was so fooled.
You thought that was a brand new artist.
I thought it was a brand new artist.
And you're like, this guy's actually quite good.
It's one of the most hilarious things ever.
When he came out with the soul patch and everything,
dude, and like the hair that was like teased over one eye.
Yeah, and
was it a joke or for real?
No, it was for real.
real.
You've never seen this?
No.
It's amazing.
He put out an album.
Wow.
And he was like, because Garth was so big, and he was like, I got to go in another direction.
Did he look like Garth?
It looks like Garth, but it's like...
Is it believable that it's somebody else?
No.
No.
It just looks like you go like, what the fuck happened to Garth?
Oh.
He's got like
And-
black hair that like
yeah.
sweeps.
And
like,
he had a story
sweeping
for it,
bangs.
too.
Yeah.
He had a story like Chris's parents died when he was younger.
Ew.
And like...
And it wasn't like country. It was more like
Yeah.
like late 90s, early 2000s rock music.
Chris is more sexual.
Way more sexual.
Oh.
But then he said, because I think if I remember right, like Garth was hosting SNL, but the musical guest was Chris Gaines.
Oh,
So Chris
fucking
Gaines performed.
yuck.
And then
It was the grossest. It was nothing more disgusting.
Everybody knew it was him,
Of course they did.
and he thought they didn't.
No, he knew that they did. He just said
He
it's
was
it's
just
like his
like-
alter ego.
Oh, he admitted that it was him.
Yes.
Oh, that's not as bad.
But then he
wasn't
said
trying to sneak it
it's
in
still
there.
pretty bad.
Yeah.
You should see Tom is
It
showing
looks
Jim. a
different. I don't know
photo.
what, but you show me real Garth. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, I guess.
But he said it was for a movie. He said there was going to be a Chris Gaines movie.
They started to make, and I think the whole thing wasn't it that wasn't released, that they made, or did they release?
They definitely didn't release it.
They didn't release the behind the music, because I thought they did like a fake behind the music for Chris Gaines too.
They did some kind of it, but they definitely didn't do the movie. The movie never came out.
What kind of an asshole has an alter ego? It's embarrassing.
Yeah,
I don't know, Chip. We could bring
Bring Scott
Aukerman in here.
Hi guys.
How are
How's it
you?
going?
I'll make sure his mic's on.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're good.
So nice
How's
to
it
meet
going?
you all.
We're good. You know Tom
meet you.
Segura,
Hi.
Nice to meet
How
you.
are you?
Good.
Jim Norton,
Of course, the legend.
Sam Roberts.
We're talking about projects too that haven't gotten picked up.
Oh yeah.
We've all had them, and
Yeah, 8 million of them
it's
on my
it's,
hand.
It's the worst.
I
Right?
went like 15 years with nothing getting picked up.
Did you really?
Oh yeah, I did Mr. Show in the 90s, and then I did the Mr. Show movie, and that was in 2000, and then I think Shark Tale in like 2004 was the next thing I got done, and then and we didn't know what it was going to be, and I up until when we were shooting, we were sort of like, I think it might be this or
How many seasons did you get now?
5.
Wow.
110 episodes.
Wow,
Wow.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, last episodes ever.
And
so.
the podcast still goes.
Yeah,
What's
still
up with
once
those
or twice a
downloads,
week.
Dude? What's up with those downloads? Where you
What's
at?
up with I don't know. I hear we get 2 million a month. Is that
Hey now.
Jesus.
something like that?
Hey, one a week?
1 or 2 a week, yeah.
Oh, nice.
So it's still a very popular podcast, even in 2016 terms.
Yes.
Yeah, although not as popular as like a WTF or, Nerdist or something like that. But yeah.
I guess. Still, but you're gonna
Well,
keep
because
doing
people
the
can
podcast.
watch it. That's why. It's hard. It's almost like you're competing with yourself.
Right.
People can watch the show, so
Yeah.
they probably watch the show and don't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, weirdly, the podcast is more popular than the TV show,
Is it?
strangely
Really?
enough. Yeah. The podcast is, people like it more.
It's astonishing, like how some shows viewership is so like you hear
It's
the
so
numbers,
low, yeah.
and you're like, how does that stay on the air? And
Yeah.
it's still but because the spectrum's so wide and there's so many choices
Yeah.
that there's really it's not like 20 years ago where there's a bunch of shows that get like 20 and 30 million viewers. Like that
No.
doesn't even.
What's interesting is shows now are what they call loss leaders,
Mhm.
which is a loss leader when you have a market is like the shitty lighters that you sell, and you
Mhm.
sell them for less than what you pay for them. But it's to get people in the door, right? Or
Right.
like the VCR that you sell for something, for lower than cost. So shows now are loss leaders where the networks don't care about how many viewers they get. Like no one watches Comedy Bang Bang, the TV show.
Really?
There would be some weeks when it would get a flat 0.
Wow.
And the thing is I read a really interesting article about Mad Men and why that got on the air. It was because AMC, which was the American Movie Classics channel, they just showed movies, and they were going to be dropped from cable stations because they're like, we don't have the bandwidth to have just a movie station on the air. So they knew that they had to make original programming, even if no one watched it. They needed to spend a lot of money to make something so that people would go, oh no, you can't drop AMC. I need to watch fill in the blank. And that's what shows have become now, is like they have these tiny, tiny niche audiences where they're very passionate about it, but no one really watches it, and it doesn't justify the money they spend on them, but it makes the brand, so in my case, IFC, people think that they need IFC on their cable packages.
Right.
All right, loss leader. That's what I'm going to pitch my next show as.
Yeah.
I'm a perfect loss leader for you guys.
It's a
Yeah,
loss
exactly.
leader.
Yeah.
That's what Walmart does, though. Walmart loses money on their gas because
Yeah.
that way everybody drives to Walmart to get their gas.
And then while
They
they're
go,
there,
yeah,
pick up
let
the
me
other
do my
stuff.
grocery shopping
that's
or whatever
smart.
it
But I
is,
mean,
yeah.
Jim, you have like such a passionate audience. I mean, you're like perfect for this kind of thing. And that's what I found in producing now is that if you just have a small but passionate audience, then that's what people want way more than something like Seinfeld, where everyone is going to watch it and everyone is going to be talking about it.
I'm going to go to HBO. I'm going to be like, look, you guys are on the fucking brink of getting kicked off of most cable networks. But I can help.
How difficult is it? Because you guys have brought in, like, with Comedy Bang Bang, but also with, like, Between Two Ferns. Like, what fascinates me most about Between Two Ferns is when people like a Hillary Clinton are brought in, and, like, it's so... The back and forth is so important on the show, and, like, Zach's delivery is just as important as, like, Hillary's delivery is.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And every single person is different and has their own strengths. Like the Barack Obama one and the Hillary Clinton one are really different.
Right.
So,
But they're like, because like Zach has to at some point be made to look like a fool, and like that's just the way it works. Do you sit there and do you coach Hillary? Like, do you write a script?
Obama's a good performer, by the way. Sorry.
that's the thing is, and it's insane that we are in a world where we're sort of judging presidential candidates or sitting presidents' performances.
Yeah.
Like
how
why is that?
entertaining they are.
Yeah.
Why is that important anymore? But we do. It is what it is. But we sort of every single guest who's on, we sort of try to figure out, what would they be good at, And
Right.
and Zach and I sit and talk about like, okay, what kind of joke do you think that this person is going to be able to sell? What's the sort of feel of each one? And we knew Obama and Hillary would be really different. Like Obama, it was more of a thing where because he was a sitting president and they weren't going to allow him to do it. The